Hey there, welcome to YouTube. If you are into poetry, if you are into literature, if you are into cultural history, then you've come to the right place. Cardboard Box Productions makes podcasts about all those things, so be sure to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a new episode. Obviously, we mostly make podcasts, so you can also go to anywhere you get your podcasts, if it's a place other than YouTube, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and you can subscribe to our podcast feeds there. All right, I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome to Close Talking, the world's most popular poetry analysis podcast from Cardboard Box Productions Incorporated. I am co-host Jack Rossiter Munley, and with my good friend Connor McNamara Stratton, we read a poem,
talk about the poem,
and read the poem again.
Before we get into today's selection, a quick note that if you like what we do here at Close Talking and have a spare minute of your time, it would mean the world to us if you would give the podcast a rating and review on Apple Podcasts.
Those ratings and reviews help boost us up the algorithm and find new listeners.
And if you have suggestions for future episodes or comments on this one, you can send us an email at closetalkingpoetry@gmail.com.
And you can also find us on social media. On Twitter, the show is @CloseTalking. I am @Jack Rossiter Munn, and Connor is @ConnorM Stratton. On Instagram, the show is @CloseTalkingPoetry, and on Facebook, it's facebook.com/CloseTalking. We also have a website, closetalking.com, where you can find all the past episodes of the show, and Cardboard Box Productions has just launched a newsletter, Unboxed, and if you go to cardboardboxproductionsinc.com, you can subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stuff on Close Talking and all of the other literary and cultural history podcasts that Cardboard Box Productions makes. On with the show. Hello, this is Close Talking co-host Jack Rossiter Munley, welcoming you to this super special Poetry Month mini episode of Close Talking. When Connor and I are preparing for episodes of Close Talking, we often do a lot of different things with the poems that we are about to discuss. Usually we will read them on the page, take notes, read them aloud, and every now and then, something else happens. This is an example of a time when something else happened. This is the poem Waiting for the 12th, and while I was getting ready to do it with Connor, one of the times that I was reading over it, I was sort of absent-mindedly noodling on my guitar. And while I was doing that, I started strumming a little rhythm and was reading the poem in my head along to it, and all of a sudden it was fitting together really well. And before I knew it, I was singing the poem along with what I was playing. So we decided for Poetry Month that I was going to sit down and actually record my song version of Waiting for the 12th. So please enjoy my imagining of Kaveh Akbar's Waiting for the 12th as a song.
No one ever brings up the wages of virtue, the cost of avoiding that which you were built to do. Some men actually love their enemies. Remind me to tell you about them when you were right. And when will that be again? I'm already spiced the duck and hidden the sherry. Even grain has jeans that say drink this and that. So much like our own. I'm rubbing yogurt through my hair, getting ready for your return. I read old mail from my Baba's or the Farsi like tea leaves or exile. water on turtle meat. The birch curled its tongue and was full of credible fears. Today I'm full of olives and smoke, sucking on a fat red cigar and dashing on the good lakes. I'm comfy as a snake, sleeping in a silk shoe. Though my glasses are foggy, oh, maybe I got perfume in my eye. Either way, I recognize you by your heartbeat. You'll recognize me by the green bird in my shirt pocket. If you hurry, I'll let you hold her. Her flightlessness will mean nothing. In fact, my whole house has been cleansed entirely of symbols. A strange call came from the west, and I understood it in this new language. I burnt away my candles and awoke the sleeping spider, resting his fangs against my hand. There will be nothing here to distract you from your work. Just some old pears browning in the kitchen, and a glass vase of pink roses singing their little song.
This is co-host Jack Rossiter Munley. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave a review. 5 stars maybe? Those reviews help with the algorithm and are a great way for us to find new listeners. And you can put anything in them. You can write whatever you want. You can just say, oh, this is a good podcast. I like this podcast. You could be like, hey, that Connor guy, he makes a lot of good points. Jack, why is he doing this outro so long? You know, get him off the mic. Whatever you feel like writing, head on over there, 5 stars, drop in the review. Do you have thoughts about this poem? Is there a poem or poet you'd like us to cover on a future episode? Well, we'd love to hear from you. And there are tons of ways that you can get in touch with us. I mean, I guess you could drop it into an iTunes review. You could be like, 5 stars. Hey, why don't you talk about insert name of poet here? But you can also send us an email. That's probably the best way to do it. closetalkingpoetry@gmail.com is our email address. Or you can find us on Twitter. I am at Jack Rossiter Munn. Connor is at Connor M. Stratton. And the show is at Close Talking. On Instagram, you can find us there too. We are at Close Talking Poetry. And we are on Facebook at facebook.com/Close Talking. We haven't gotten to TikTok yet, and we might never. Who knows? Anything's possible. Speaking of all those social media platforms, a very special thank you to our incredible social media manager, Corey Chena, who keeps us active across the internet. And a thank you to all of you for listening. We will see you next time.